Dwight Eisenhower was sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower. Did you know that they had 8% generals, president of the United States, 8% were generals, 92% were politicians. And then you had Trump. See, that's a weave. You know, we go off at this for a second.
I like that. Because now I'm like, where are we weaving to? I'm into this.
No, think of it, because we're talking about generals, and then you get back onto the general. I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person. But frankly,
TV respects me. It laughs with me, not at me.
You stupid.
Because I'm basically a truthful person. But frankly, sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower. Did you know that they had 8% generals, president of the United States, 8% were generals, 92% were politicians. And then you had Trump. See, that's a weave. You know, we go off at this for a second.
I like that. Because now I'm like, where are we weaving to? I'm into this.
No, think of it, because we're talking about generals, and then you get back onto the general.
There you go.
Because what I was going to say is that Eisenhower
I like the play-by-play for the week.
No, it's good, though. Isn't it great? We go into it. We mention Eisenhower, and then I say he was a general, 8% generals, 92%, and now you go back. Okay, it's part of the weave. You know? Then you go back. No, you got to keep it all together. You got to be sharp. If you're not sharp, you're dead. Think of it.
And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about facts.
Stacey Abrams. Almost all of the Democrats challenge.
Yeah.
But when we challenge, they say he's a threat to democracy.
Yeah.
These are con artists, and they're very bad for our country.
Yeah.
So I'm going to weed them out. I'm going to weed them out. I'll do it in honor of you. Dwight Eisenhower was sort of a moderate, General Eisenhower. Did you know that they had 8% generals, president of the United States, 8% were generals, 92% were politicians. And then you had Trump. See, that's a weave. You know, we go off at this for a second.
I like that. Because now I'm like, where are we weaving to? I'm into this.
No, think of it, because we're talking about generals, and then you get back onto the general.
There you go.
Because what I was going to say is that Eisenhower
I like the play-by-play for the week.
No, it's good, though. Isn't it great? We go into it. We mention Eisenhower, and then I say he was a general, 8% generals, 92%, and now you go back. Okay, it's part of the weave. You know? Then you go back. No, you got to keep it all together. You got to be sharp. If you're not sharp, you're dead. Think of it.
Pence, you got anything for Mike Pence?
Well, it's a shame because he and I had a very good relationship.
Hanging out somewhere.
He couldn't cross the line of doing what was right, in my opinion. Some people would disagree with that, but he had the right to go and put them before the legislatures and have them reassess because they found out a lot of bad things. And he had a lawyer that said he didn't have that right, but he did have that right. And you know why we found out that that was true? Because they changed the law after the election so that he couldn't do what I said he could do.
Yeah.
Okay? They changed the law so that a vice president could no longer do what I said he could do. So in other words, I turned out to be right. But it's a shame. We had a very good relationship for 99.9% of the thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think...
Clear on that throughout. I was clear with President Trump throughout all the way up to the morning of January 6th. But let's be clear on this point. It wasn't just that they asked for a pause. The president specifically asked me, and his gaggle of crackpot lawyers asked me to literally reject votes, which would have resulted in the issue being turned over to the House of Representatives, and literally chaos would have ensued. So, Martha, I just people can read the indictment, and frankly, I've said before, I had hoped that it had not come to this point. You know, I don't know if the government can meet the standard, the burden of proof beyond reasonable doubt for criminal charges. But the American people deserve to know that President Trump and his advisors didn't just ask me to pause. They asked me to reject votes, return votes, essentially to overturn the election and to keep faith with the oath that I made to the American people and to Almighty God. I rejected that out of hand, and I did my duty that day. And irrespective of the indictment, I want the American people to know that I had no right to overturn the election. And then on that day, President Trump asked me to put him over the Constitution, that I chose the Constitution, and I always will. And I really do believe that anyone who puts themselves over the Constitution should never be president of the United States. And anyone who asks someone else to put themselves over the Constitution should never be president of the United States again. I've been very forthright about this issue, and I'll continue to
see this face on the VP debate stage instead of Mike Pence, which Tim Walz did a great job of reminding everyone.
This one is troubling to me, and I say that because I think we need to tell the story. Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this, and the fact is that I don't think we can be the frog in the pot and let the boiling water go up. He was very clear. I mean, he lost this election, and he said he didn't. 140 police officers were beaten at the Capitol that day, some with the American flag, several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. That issue, and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over. I worked with kids long enough to know, and I said as a football coach, sometimes you really want to win, but the democracy is bigger than winning an election. You shake hands, and then you try and do everything you can to help the other side win. That's what was at stake here. Now, the thing I'm most concerned about is the idea that imprisoning your political opponents, already laying the groundwork for people not accepting this. And a president's words matter. A president's words matter. People hear that. So I think this issue of settling our differences at the ballot box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election and the peaceful transfer of power. And here we are 4 years later in the same boat. I will tell you this, that when this is over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
Slating the vice president for appearing on...
I do want to clarify something. In the debate, former President Trump claimed that some states are executing babies after birth. Can you just clarify?
That is not happening anywhere in the United States. It is not happening, and it's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie that he is suggesting that, can you imagine? He is suggesting that women in their 9th month of pregnancy are electing to have an abortion. Are you kidding? That is so outrageously inaccurate, and it's so insulting to suggest that that would be happening and that women would be doing that. It's not happening anywhere. This guy is full of lies. I mean, I just have to be very candid with you. You know, so in my career, from the time I got out of law school through most of my career as a prosecutor, I understood that the words that I spoke and what I did with those words would be the difference between whether somebody was charged with a crime or went to prison, maybe prison for life. When I was Attorney General, I was the top law enforcement officer of the biggest state in this country. And I was acutely aware that the words I spoke could be the difference between whether a corporation was in business or out of business, that the words I spoke could move markets. The idea that someone is not only so careless and irresponsible and reckless, but out and out lies to create fear and division in our country and thinks he should be president of the United States standing behind the seal of the president of the United States, using the microphone that comes with that, and using that voice and those words in such an irresponsible, and that's mild, way. And this is why this election matters.